Hi guys, welcome to Rationality, Reason, and Reality. I'm Supernova. In this video I'm going to be talking about something topical, which I don't typically do because I know down the road it's going to be less relevant, but I have a need to make this argument because there's so much misunderstanding around this topic, and I'm also going to be presenting some information about behavioral economics, a topic that I'm very interested in. So I hope that you learned something, and I really hope that you change your mind on this topic of Ahmed Mohamed. As most of you probably already know, he's a 14-year-old student in Irving, Texas, who went into his high school with a clock that he had made and showed it to his science teachers and claimed that it was a clock, but they seemed to disagree. They thought it was a bomb. They called in the authorities, and Ahmed was arrested. He was interrogated, and after the police determined that it was indeed a clock, as he had claimed all along, they let him go and the charges were dropped. Now, a lot of people have been defending the teachers and the mayor and the police for thinking it was a bomb because it looked like a bomb and because of other factors, like it was shortly after 9/11 and, of course, the kid's Muslim. You could probably tell by his name, Ahmed Mohamed, Muslim kid, looks Middle Eastern. This is the reason that he was arrested. It has nothing to do with him bringing in something that looked like a bomb. And I'm actually going to demonstrate that through argument in this video using logic and a little bit of math, which may sound weird to you, but I'll get there. I'll show you how it's done. And we're going to start with a mathematical concept called base rates. What are base rates? Well, if you were to draw a card at random from a deck of cards and I asked you what are the chances of that being an ace, you could probably come up with the answer to that. You know that there are 4 aces in the deck of 52 cards, so the odds are 4 out of 52 or 1 in 13. If I were to ask you what are the chances that that is also a spade, you would take your base rate, 1 in 13, the rate that you already had, and multiply it by the chances of it being spades. Since there are 4 equal suits, the odds are 1 in 4. You multiply 1 over 13 by 1 over 4, and you get 152. Because, of course, out of 52 cards, there's only one card that is both an ace and a spade, the ace of spades. And this is a very simple concept. Most people understand that that's what you have to do. But when it comes to people, this becomes a little more complicated. In Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, which is all about behavioral economics, he also talks about base rates as they apply to people. He gives an example there, and he talks about a man in the U.S. called Steve. Steve is very shy and withdrawn, invariably helpful, but with very little interest in people or in the world of reality. A meek and tidy soul, he has a need for order and structure and a passion for detail. Is it more likely that Steve is a librarian or a farmer? Now, most people, when presented with this scenario, say, well, that sounds just like a librarian. So they say it's more likely he is a librarian. And they would be wrong, because that's not the only information that we have. All these details that make him sound like a person who would be a librarian. We're also told that he is a male in the United States. Farmers in our country outnumber librarians about 5 to 1. And the ratio of male farmers to male librarians is much, much higher. And so if you were to pick a man at random in the U.S., would he be more likely to be a male farmer or a male librarian? A male farmer by a far, far distance. The fact that he has a personality that seems like a librarian does change the rate, but only a little bit. As Daniel Kahneman puts it, there are many more meek and tidy souls riding tractors than there are tending libraries. You can't forget the base rate. You have to take all of the details into account. And so what does that have to do with Ahmed Mohamed, you ask? Well, he's a 14-year-old student in an American school. As far as I know, in history, no American student has ever brought a bomb into a school. Now, schools do get bomb threats. That's a rather frequent, kind of scary how frequent it is. That does happen, but people don't actually bring the bombs in, especially not if they're students. I don't think that has ever happened. And if it is, it's extremely rare. So if you had a scenario where a kid supposedly brought a bomb into school, you would say that's the punchline for a joke. Then what happened? You wouldn't actually believe that it happened, or at least you shouldn't, because it is such a rare occurrence. It is something that you wouldn't expect to happen. You would take alternate explanations such as it is a clock, because in fact in this case it was a clock. Of course that was a more plausible explanation. Or even if it looked like a bomb, if it had the word bomb on it, if it was attached to barrels of gasoline, you might think, wow, what a great replica bomb. Because you wouldn't credit this 14-year-old with having the technical know-how and the will to make a bomb. Because it simply hasn't happened. The base rate is extremely low. It's far less than 1%. The fact that it looks like a bomb changes it so little. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much it looks like a bomb. It is totally implausible. Now you may be thinking, yeah, but you're just talking about students with something that looks like a bomb. How about after you factor in that he was a male, since you would think that most bomb makers are male, and the fact that he's a Muslim? Doesn't this increase the frequency? No, it actually does the opposite. It makes it less likely that he had a bomb. To understand that, we have to go to another part of Daniel Kahneman's fantastic book, Thinking Fast and Slow, where he discusses something called the Linda problem. In this example that I took straight off Wikipedia, Linda is 31 years old, single, outspoken, and very bright. She majored in philosophy. As a student, she was deeply concerned with issues of discrimination and social justice, and also participated in anti-nuclear demonstrations. Now, with what you know about Linda, is it more probable that she is, number one, a bank teller, or number two, a bank teller who is also active in the feminist movement? Now, the answer is it's more likely that she's a bank teller. Nothing in that description led us to believe that she is a bank teller. But it has to be more probable. To think that it is more probable that she's that and something else is known as the conjunction fallacy, a logical fallacy where you ignore the base rate. The fact that not all bank tellers are active in the feminist movement means that of all the things that she could be, the fact that she's a bank teller has to be more probable than the fact that she's that and something else. It doesn't even matter what the other thing is. If I were to say, for instance, what are the odds that the card that you drew from that deck of cards is an ace and a spade and also has the word bicycle on the back? Let's suppose it is a bicycle deck of cards. All the cards have bicycle on the back. So that makes it more likely that it's the ace of spades with a bicycle on the back, right? No, it doesn't change the probability at all. It can't possibly increase the chance of it being the ace of spades. It doesn't matter how likely it is, this last thing that I threw in, it can't increase the probability. It can only decrease it. If I were to tell you that the card that you held had a black symbol, one large black symbol in the middle of it, and said, is it more likely to be the ace of spades or more likely to be a spade card? It has to be more likely it's a spade card, because not all spades are the ace, but all of the ace of spades is a spade card. It's impossible. It's mathematically impossible for it to be more likely to be the ace of spades. So when you add in information such as the fact that he's a boy or that he's a Muslim, because not all bomb makers are men, as far as I know. I don't know any females. But the fact that not all bomb makers are Muslim, I can think of, for instance, Ted Kaczynski off the top of my head. The fact that not all of them are Muslim decreases the probability. The fact that we know Ahmed is a Muslim actually makes it less likely that he's a bomb maker. And so if somebody actually looks at a student like him and thinks it is more probable that he brought in a bomb than not. They're totally ignoring the base rate and only focusing on one thing: his race. And I know that Islam is a religion, not a race. But I think if he had been a white boy who happened to be a Muslim but didn't look it, didn't have a Muslim name, I don't think this would have happened. Now I can't know that for sure. That's conjecture. That's a hypothetical situation. We can't actually compare the two because, as far as I know, this hasn't happened to a white boy. But I think it's because he appeared to be Muslim, because he wore it on his sleeve. It was obvious. I think that's the reason that the people looked at his race and thought, oh, he's a bomb maker. And they totally didn't notice these other things, that he is an American student, that he is too young probably to know how to make a bomb. And that's why I think that these people are racist. And I think that's why people who are arguing against Ahmed now and defending the teachers and the police and the mayor are all racist. And you may be watching this and thinking, how dare you call me racist? As Key and Peele said, racist is like the N-word for white people. That may offend you greatly, and you think, if I were racist, I'd know about it. Yeah, probably not. I say this from anecdotal evidence, from my own personal experience. I took something called the IAT online. That's the implicit attitude test. And that tests your implicit, hidden prejudices. And I found that I have some of my own. I'm not perfect. And I would encourage you to take the IAT yourself. I've included a link below so that you can do so. If you happen to take these racist positions and you think to yourself, I don't feel racist, the IAT will make you feel your prejudices. When you take it, you will understand why it uncovers those, and you will know what you have prejudices towards. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, feel free to comment below, and please share this video, especially with your racist friends. Peace out.